Mike McCool.
Mike McCool, 125 West 8th Street. Mr. Mayor, Council, appreciate the opportunity to just address a couple items with you tonight. A program that we'll be starting running on the Royal Examiner, we thought would be something similar you've seen around other communities. We might call it Pothole of the Day, where people take pictures of potholes and problems in the infrastructure. The mayor has tried to, in the last years, tried to get the council to put some money aside to keep our streets and roads up to par and some repair to our problems with our infrastructure. So most of you know I drive half a car, my smart car. I come across a couple of these holes and literally I thought the whole front end was going to fall off of them. I think the problem lies with, we're putting in water taps around town. This is one of the biggest areas. And some are done by town crew and some are done by contractors. And I think the issue is no one ever goes back and inspects what was done. The finishing of the roads never really completed. Either it's not compacted or the asphalt's put down and 2 weeks later there's still a 6-inch drop in the road where someone's already repaired it. The mayor has addressed some things with, and I think you've taken care of, like rings for the manholes. It's the same thing. You don't notice it driving a large vehicle, but when I drive my Suburban, it's not quite as bad, but when I drive my little car, it's like 3 or 4 inch hole. It's a pretty good sized hole where these new cars would have, no rubber on the tires, which probably most of you know about that. So I would suggest that we think about that, and it's a small thing to do, but I think we need to consider having our department heads go back and inspect what's getting done either by contractors and by our town crew. A lot of it's not their own fault, it just needs to be followed up and done again. That also brings up another issue that the council has done in the past year. They've addressed curb and guttering. I haven't seen any waivers come before the council here recently, but we have quite a few new homes in the older parts of town that have been built, no curb and guttering. And they've run the concrete pads right out to the street or the asphalt pads right out to the street. And the question is, have we changed our ordinance that I'm not aware of? Aren't we requiring curb and guttering putting in on constructions in town? And I know Vice Mayor Seelock has been a proponent of curb and guttering. I mean, it does protect our roadways. And it goes back to that same thing of inspecting what we expect. We're giving occupancy permits and final inspections on property and there's no curb and guttering put in. So I think it's something that we should, the council's put a lot of time and money into getting that done, and it doesn't seem like it's being followed up on and being done. That's 2 items, and that's really all I want to address, but I just want to call it to your attention and maybe put a little pressure, friendly reminder that maybe we need to think about doing this follow-up work and making sure that we get our infrastructure in good shape. It's the little things that make a difference. I'll commend the town crew in doing a little extra effort in the trimming of the grass on our main right-of-ways, and that makes a huge difference when people drive and just see that extra little touch that we do, and it's a huge improvement on things like that. And I think nothing worse than driving down the road and getting a bunch of potholes, people visiting our community. The citizens get upset, but tourists get a bad taste in their mouth, I think, when they see that. So that's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, regarding Mr. McCool's comment that no one goes back to inspect jobs, that's just completely inaccurate. And wanted to let you know that we have Supervisor Alan Peck has been working diligently with various crews. We have Mr. Boyer spends each day driving around the various sections. It's absolutely accurate. There are parts of town that a crew may have done some work and they may not have caught it. I know, Mr. Mayor, you brought some of those to my attention as well, and Mr. Seelock, and all of you have. But I do want you to know that we do have someone going around and inspecting various jobs. And I can name a number of streets where there's a crew going back Thursday to patch and repair a significant portion of the street because it wasn't to our standard. We've really elevated the bar here locally. Every staff meeting I have, the first item on the on the meeting is excellence in everything, and that's what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to instill a culture that every little detail that we can identify, that we focus on that. So I wanted to make that, and as it relates to curb and gutter, we put curb and gutter in when it's required by ordinance. So that's the standard practice. If there's a particular house or home that Mr. McCool wants to bring to my attention, by all means, I'm sure there's a code. I know there's one that was brought to my attention, and it wasn't required by our ordinance. On another matter, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I really struggled with what to say tonight and whether I should or should not make these comments. I live by several personal mottos, two of which are, it's never wrong to do right, and always speak truth to power. The quandary I find myself in is, on one hand, I feel a strong calling to protect town citizens who have been unfairly attacked, and on the other hand, calling out a current mayor candidate and owner of a local business and newspaper. That's a quandary I find myself in. So I'm going to attempt to walk the line tonight and correct some information that was relayed to you at the last regular meeting. At the last regular meeting, Mr. McCool, who's running for mayor in November, decided to come before council and make a few comments regarding his Pothole of the Day series that he's going to be running on, I think, in the Royal Examiner. And these are some quotes. I came across a couple of these holes and literally thought the whole front end was going to fall off. I think the problem lies with we're putting in water taps around town, one of the biggest areas, and some are done by town crews and some are done by contractors. And I think the issue is no one ever goes back and inspects what was done. The finishing of the road never really completed. Either it's not compacted or the asphalt is put down and 2 weeks later there's a 6-inch drop in the road where someone has already repaired it. Another quote, I think we need to consider having our department heads to go back and inspect what's getting done. I really wanted to address and just wanted to call it to your attention and maybe put a little pressure, a friendly reminder that maybe we need to think about doing this follow-up work and making sure that we get our infrastructure in a good shape. You see, members of council, I was really trying to overlook these comments and frankly just took them for politicking during campaign season, so to speak. But that would not be fair to the hard-working men and women in the Public Works Department. And let me remind you, these are the same people who work Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to fix a busted water line and do quick patch. These are the same people who get called out of hours, who work after hours, who have endured a very challenging work environment during this pandemic. What kind of leader would I be, or boss would I be, if I just let a citizen, especially one who's hoping to lead this council, come in and paint this picture to our community that the streets are riddled with potholes and, quote, no one ever gets back and inspects what was done. The finishing of the road never really completed. So let me provide you with some data. Work orders placed on the town website.
We don't let people speak, our public, over 3 or 4 minutes, so I would like for you to hold that down as well.
Well, that's a new policy, Mr. Mayor. I was unaware of that policy. Is this a new policy?
But I do believe that you need to follow our same orders that we have with the general public. Thank you.
I'm okay with Mr. Teacher continuing.
I would like to hear his comments as well. Thank you.
So work orders placed on the town website for road repair. In 2019, take a guess how many orders for 2019? 4. In 2020, now granted 7 months, only 2. Now call-ins, people that actually call in a work order in 2019, again 4. And in 2020, 3. In-house orders, now these are in-house orders that Mr. Boyer and his 2 supervisors actually drive around and find. In 2019, there were 13. In 2020, there's been 2. Now, I get it. I'm a type A personality. 1 pothole for me is too many, but a total of 8 notices by citizens in 2019 and 5 in 2020, to me, doesn't sound like a major campaign issue. The town at the last meeting, or the mayor at the last meeting, mentioned a major hole on Stonewall Drive, and it was bad. The contractor put a tap in, and the asphalt crew got delayed, and the gravel sank. Our Public Works Department notified the contractor, and he put more gravel nearly immediately. We're not the city of Baltimore or the city of Chicago. If we see or hear a problem, we get on it and we fix it. We at the staff level want as many eyes as possible looking for things to improve upon. We've really made a significant effort to focus on the little things around town and achieve excellence in everything. Another point that needs to be made is this, members of
Strategic, I
council.
think we've had enough.
Through your
I think you
leadership-
can
Can we
give
vote
us
on that? Can we
please.
vote on that?
Yeah, I'd like to see.
Can we vote? Yeah.
You know,
I'd
listen,
prefer- He's giving us statistics, and I think that that's.
I have the
bad.
rule of this council, at least I'm supposed to have it. And if we're going to allow our manager to take 15 minutes, then I think we're going to have to allow our public to speak as well. And so if that's what you all feel that you all want to do, then that's what I'll begin doing at our next meeting, allowing the public to speak as long as they want to speak. And so that's going to be my rule here this evening. I think that everybody knows what our town employees do, and we've already went over that, and I just don't think we need to rehash all these things. We know what our men are doing, or women, and I'm proud of those people. But I don't think we need a report for 20 minutes, Mr. Interim Town Manager.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I've never been under any notice that we had a limit on the town manager's report.
Well, we normally don't, but I'm
And
going to...
so the data I have here is data that I think is compelling data, correcting a record.
Then why don't you give it to us in writing, and we'll
I
take
think
it
I'd
and
rather
read
read it right now, Mr. Mayor. Am I going to read this or not?
I'd
No.
like you to finish it.
Mr. Mayor, the integrity of our town employees have been called out on whether or not we're completing what we say we're going to be completing, and I think these statistics are pertinent
He's
to the...
referred to the potholes about 12 or 14 times already.
But-
You don't have to keep on, talking about them.
Mr. Tedrick
Get
hasn't
to
been
the
talking for
meat-
5
Get to
minutes.
the meat of it and go with it.
It's been 5 minutes.
So continue, but make it
Thank you.
shorter.
Another point that needs to be made is this. Members of council, through your leadership, the town has embarked upon a historic infrastructure program to repair the failing sewer lines. This program has been known for over a decade, and the can continually got kicked down the road. Violation after violation, dumping raw sewage into the river, and the can continually got kicked down the road. The town had plenty of money to fix, or at least begin to fix, the I&I problem, but former councils kicked the can. But under your leadership, we have now embarked upon a $3.6 million contract for I&I abatement. We have 4 different contractors working currently throughout town doing sewer, pipe, manhole rehabilitation, and surface restoration and asphalt repair. After the work is complete, we have a CHA engineer inspect the job and 1 of 2 town supervisors inspect. As a last resort, before any contractors get paid, their work gets signed off on, like a final punch list, if you will. But that's not enough. Soon we'll be embarking upon an $8 million phase with 4 contractors and up to 12 subcontractors. We're getting it done. You are getting it done. Least I remind you that the town was fined by DEQ because of all the can kicking of the past. But to be clear, it's going to get a little worse before it gets a whole lot better. Members of council, in the near term, some of our roads are going to be rough, are going to get cut in order to fix various problems. I'm sure of that. But we're on it. We're doing the very best we can to reach the high standards that we've set. That I promise you. For example, Mr. Mayor, members of council, how do you like the job that was completed on Steel, Highview, Scott Street? Excellent workmanship, I believe. That's the kind of result the Public Works Director and I expect. We even got a compliment from Mr. Tewalt on the good work up there. Another thing to mention, we had an unprecedented workload put on the Streets Department. We're currently short 4 employees, and frankly, the high amount of COVID unemployment checks are not helping fill these positions. But even with a short staff, these hardworking workers fill in for the wastewater treatment plant and the horticulture to mow. So here's the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. I can't allow, and I'm not going to allow, any candidate for any office to step on the backs of our hardworking employees just to try to make some political hay. It's not going to happen under my watch, plain and simple. No one is harder on our department heads than me. I've proven that I'm not afraid of making the tough decisions to better our town. If our employees do a great job, I pat them on the back or provide a certificate of excellence. If they don't do a good job, I quickly let them know what we expect and how to get it done. If there's poor workmanship in our town under my watch, it's on me and me alone. I take full responsibility and address the matter privately with my team. To all of you and the citizens, if you see a problem, by all means, please contact me. My number is 540-635-8007. We are eager to improve our community for all. Hopefully I've walked the line, members of council. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tiedrick. Next item tonight is requests or inquiries of the council.
Yes, I'd like to speak just briefly about what just happened. I know that you're trying to be fair to Mr. Gabbert, who you gave 5 minutes to, and then you
No, I'm trying to be fair to the general public, not just Mr. Gabbard, please.
Okay, but anyways, I did like hearing the statistics about what we have going on in 2019 versus 2020 and how well we're doing, and I appreciate those employees because that Stonewall Drive thing got fixed right away. A lot of good things are happening, and I do appreciate that.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make a comment here. I want to thank this council. I've been here in this town my whole life, and it wasn't until this council, and I want to take my hat off to every one of y'all, that these infrastructure repairs started happening. People can make hay about it, but just remember who were the ones that kicked the cans down the road, and that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Sure.
All right, I was just checking, because frankly, I'm disappointed, and I just want to say this respectfully. Your council members, I'm sorry, did you have something to say as well? Okay. These council members asked for a point of order on Robert's rules, to which you ignored when multiple council members said point of order. Robert's rules on attacking individual council members or town staff, but you didn't intervene. Despite multiple petitions for you to intervene. Instead, you allowed it to continue, and you even extended the time that's mutually agreed upon with this council, which is within your right, to Mr. Gabbert, who took a pot shot and then left. Mr. Tiedrick was given some constructive statistics for the community that is very interested in understanding and hearing what Mr. McCool presented a few weeks back, and you took an unprecedented approach to cut him off, which has never happened before. I don't understand why. I don't understand why you're maneuvering politically that way. That's never been done before. That's highly disappointing to me. And it's funny, Mr. Gabbert mentioned in a derogatory manner many of the things that this council has done in the last year. And it's funny to me because I see them as accomplishments. I see a lot of what he mentioned as accomplishments. And then the rest of it, speculation. I can't tell out of malice or disappointment or half-baked knowledge about what's happened on this council, but certainly he hasn't been at the meetings or hasn't been participating in the council meetings where we've discussed a lot of what he's brought up tonight. I would have been happy to address him. Instead, drop a bomb and then walk out so that we can't address any of the things that he brought up. So disappointed, Mr. Mayor, that you didn't defend your council. Disappointed that you didn't defend your employees by calling point of order. And it makes me lose trust that we're actually able to navigate this as a council when our mayor won't stand up for us. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Tim?
What Jake just said, none of it surprises me, and I'm sure none of it surprises anybody else here on this council about your conduct tonight.
Anyone else? I guess it's my turn to speak, isn't it? I have no problem with anybody coming in here and speaking, but I do believe that we take advantage of these things, some of us. And I think that was happening this evening. Don't get me wrong. I think we have a good staff, and I'm not trying to pull down the staff at all. I have no problem with Mr. Tiedrick. I just do believe his report was quite lengthy, and I do believe that he could have been a little less shorter, but I think it was done in a purpose to try to downgrade the man that's running for the mayorship, and I don't appreciate that. You could have said that last week. You said the same thing at the last meeting. You could have shortened that very simply tonight, saying that the things had been repaired, and that should have been the limits to it. So, I don't want to get in a discussion with these things with the town council or the mayor, or not the mayor, but the town manager. Look, we got a job to do, and we need to work together, and that's what we're not doing right now. It's everybody against me, apparently, in anything I say anymore, and I don't understand it. I mean, I've tried to do a good job here, and I've done a pretty good job, as Mr. Tedrick referred to. I've tried to get some infrastructure completed, and I'm hoping we can. If the virus wouldn't have not have hit, I think we would be paving streets and doing a lot of other things. But, you know, I'm being criticized for trying to run a meeting the best I can, but, you know, what's good for the Republic should be good for the rest of us. You know, if we're going to limit the people in the audience to speak 3-4 minutes, and I think we need to adhere to those things too. If it's something of that magnitude that you want to tell us about, send us an email, send us a hard copy. That's all we need to know. The public doesn't care those things, what was done. You know, and you know, I get kind of upset about this council. Everything I try to do, you all take offense to. You know, and I don't understand that. You know, I've been here for a long time, and I don't think I know any more than anybody else, but I would like to have the respect as the mayor. And I'm not getting that from any of my councilmen, except maybe one person on this council. And that bothers me. And I hope the general public sees that out on these videos that we publish every week, because I am being reprimanded, ridiculed, and everything. I've been reprimanded by this council before on something I tried to do that was good for the town council. We wouldn't be in this predicament if they would have listened. But now we're in a predicament of trying to pay off an $8.4 million loan from the police department and things of that nature. And if they listened to me, we wouldn't have that problem. We could have had it resolved many months ago. But no, nobody would listen. We thought we had to go to court. And that's where we're at this point, spending a whole lot of money, of taxpayers' money, in order to cover something that we all know we're not going to get anything out of. So that's my speech tonight, and I really am sorry I had to say anything, but as a mayor, I need respect from this council, and I'm not getting it. Nor am I thanked from you, Mr. Tedrick, as well tonight. And I'm kind of sorry about that, really. But I guess I'll have to live with that until the next election. And if I get elected to the town council, I'll do my best to do the same thing I've did in the last 15 years. So with that, I'm going to close this evening. Next item tonight is item D, proposals for additions or deletions or additions to the agenda. Hearing none, we'll continue on to the consent agenda.